Here with us now is trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Marris, who's also at the courthouse this week. We were hanging out, talking, comparing notes. So I want to thank you for joining us on a Sunday. I know how busy you've been, Misty. A lot of people now kind of digesting what we saw Thursday, Friday, the closing arguments, the last volley to the jury to get them to go either which way. And of course, the tone was very different for both. So if you could recap what we saw in terms of closing and how you thought it went.
Absolutely, Laura. And yes, the tone was much different. We were talking about this when we were in the courtroom listening. The prosecution was very, very clinical. They used slides and visuals to go through the elements of each of the charges and then spoke to the jury about how all of the evidence that came out during the trial, including testimony and as well as documentary evidence, applies to those elements and said, you need to convict Sean Combs. They started off their closing argument by saying, you've heard 7 weeks of testimony and evidence, and now you know that Sean Combs is running a racketeering conspiracy and running a criminal enterprise. So very strong in the prosecution. The defense, much different, a lot more casual. And the focal point for the defense was to say that this is Combs' private life. This is like putting crime scene tape on your bedroom door. It's a personal life, it's a lifestyle, but it's certainly not criminal, and really trying to chip away at the prosecution's argument, specifically with the two top charges, sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, pointing out there's only one defendant, and you did not hear from any of these co-conspirators that prosecutors have mentioned to you. So both very strong arguments and really drove the point across, the defense really trying to raise reasonable doubt.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the defense, once again, what I thought was so interesting is that Mark Agnifilo, the defense attorney, said that this was a great American love story between Cassie Ventura, one of the witnesses we heard from during this trial. She was a witness for the prosecution, and Sean Combs, which I don't know how that landed with the jurors, and of course we won't know till the end. But what did you make of that, saying this was a, look, they had problems, sure, but he was talking about, we've talked a lot about freak-offs, these hotel nights. That's what largely is at the center of all of this. And he said, look, there were some good moments. Yeah, they had good food, they had good lighting, there was music, and some of us were like, wow. I mean, how will that land with the jurors?
Listen, it didn't land well with me when it was called a great modern love story. That was a bridge too far. It's not Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, right? So yes, I agree, Laura. I think some of what the defense set out was a bit alienating. There were other moments where, the defense called Cassie the winner. She's sitting somewhere in the world with $30 million, and Combs is behind bars. Where I really think the defense was going and focused and did get the point across. I, in fact, wrote it in my notes, a cringe moment followed by a valid point. And the valid point is, with sex trafficking, prosecutors had to make a very large concession. And remember, sex trafficking requires force, fraud, and coercion. And prosecutors had to tell the jury during their close, it doesn't mean that Cassie Ventura or Jane, the two victims in this case, were forced into the sexual contact, the freak-offs, the hotel nights every single time. It can only be one time. Well, I think what the defense is trying to say is everything you've seen is personal relationships, and albeit an alternative lifestyle that you might not understand, but that is that sex trafficking? Sex trafficking, it's sex trafficking sometimes, but it's not sex trafficking all the time. And that was where I think they were going with the jury to talk about. There were problems in these relationships. They had to confront the violence. Prosecutors say the violence is intertwined with the freak-offs. The defense says the violence was about jealousy and really relationships and their relationships between Combs and his two romantic partners, not related to sex trafficking. So the point was there. What will the jury think? Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. I've only got 10 seconds left, Misty. What do you think? Are we going to have a verdict by 4th of July?
I think Wednesday, Laura. That would be my prediction. It's practical, but these are jurors. They're people with lives. And I think the 4th of July holiday puts a little pressure on getting this done.
All right. You heard it here. And we'll see you down there at the courthouse. Trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Marris. Appreciate you as always. Thank you so much.